not to be on late. Shoot, that's not what I meant to do. Lots and lots of lemon to do. Yeah, I'll start a poll. So, y'all, I'm here tonight to talk about, I'm sure everyone has heard about it, a a Michigan mother, a Michigan mother, um, is in jail because she neglected her three children for like 4 to 5 years, y'all. Let's get into it. Hold on, let me ask if you've heard about it. What's the lady? Have you heard about Michigan? Um, that okay. Have you heard about Michigan children left alone? Damn it! Have you heard about Michigan kids left to live alone? I'm trying to shorten it, y'all. I'm going to talk about it. You guys probably haven't heard about it. Have you heard about Michigan kids left to live alone? Yeah, hopefully that makes sense to anybody. Hey, everybody. Hi, Marlon Johnson. Hi. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to try not to be long today. So today's live is about a mom, okay, who is charged with first-degree child abuse in the case of three children who lived in squalor, okay? Let me read another article. So, Michigan mother accused of abandoning her three children in squalor charged with child abuse. Okay. The Oakland County prosecutor said her office will also seek to terminate the woman's parental rights. They should. So I'm going to read the article to y'all and we're going to talk about it. Like, this story is unheard of. So, this woman in Michigan, y'all, I'm going to read the article. 34-year-old woman was just charged with child endangerment, all that other stuff, because she left her three children to live alone for like 4 to 5 years. So basically, for 4 to 5 years, she would drop off food once a week. She would have DoorDash or Uber Eats drop off food, and the children didn't were not giving any hygiene products. They weren't giving any, anything. They weren't giving soap. They weren't giving bathroom tissue. They weren't giving anything. So it looked like a nasty hoarded house. So when the authorities found them, they were living in filth, feces everywhere. The toilet wasn't working properly. Two of them were sleeping on pizza boxes. Another one was sleeping in the bed or mattress. So basically, she had four children altogether, the woman, right? And they had multiple fathers. So they all were living together at one point. All the children were living together at one point, and then she lets one of the other children live with their dad. So basically, they said that she hadn't lived with the children in the home for like a few years. So like in around 2019 was the last time she lived with them. And about January of 2020, she left the children to live alone. So they were like preteen and teens. She left young children to live alone, y'all. So she hadn't even had physical contact with like two of them for years. She would see the boy, the oldest one, I think, once in a while. And the boy, the oldest one, left the home like twice in the years that they were left there. once to check the mail and another time to touch the grass because he said he desperately like really wanted to see what it felt like to be outside. So I'm going to read the article to y'all and then we will discuss it. I'm not going to play any videos tonight, but if you guys have heard about this, leave a comment, let me know. This is a crazy story. I can't believe that this happens, but it's crazy. You wouldn't even, you would be shocked at the stories you would be shocked to hear about situations that people are living in, that children are living in. As we all know, some people just should not be parents, and I don't understand how these children fell through the cracks. What happened to the school system? What happened to their family and friends? Like, did no one say, hey, I haven't seen them in this amount of years, I'm coming by? Y'all, the only reason why the children were saved is because the landlord said that he hadn't received any rent from the woman since October of 2024, and he hadn't heard from her since December of 2024. So he called the authorities, he called the law enforcement, and asked them to please do a welfare check because he was like, what's going on here? Like, I haven't heard from them. I want to make sure everything's good. And I'm glad he did. So shout out to the landlord. We need more landlords like that. Some people just care about money, whatever. You know, he could have easily just done an eviction on her and but he went to do a wellness check. But either way, like, yeah, I think it was a condo. What I want to know is I'm going to read the article, but the woman basically left the children to live in the condo or whatever apartment situation it was. It was in a condo, y'all. Yeah, I think she was renting a condo. She left them to live there for years. Where was she? She, in court documents, said, oh, I'm a struggling single mother and I was having a hard time and I barely was getting any help from the fathers. I want to know, how was she able to afford the rent where the children were being kept? And then where was she at? How much you want to bet this woman was living with another man, like she was living with her boyfriend, acting like she don't have any children? She wanted to be child free and single, and she didn't want to be responsible for her children. She should have just gave them up. She should have just told all the dads, you need to come get your children. One father, though, was in prison, and after he got out, he tried to get custody, allegedly. But I'm going to read the article. I don't want to ramble and get any information wrong. I'm sure you guys have heard about the story. Leave a comment, let me know if you have heard about this story. It's a very crazy story, and people are outraged in disbelief, and so they have been, you know, raising money. I think GoFundMe. I think people have been donating items for the children. The children have like support animals, and I believe that Child Protective Services gave the children to family members instead of putting them in foster care, which is good. But I hope that the family they gave them to are good people, because why weren't the family inquiring about the children? Why weren't the family doing wellness check on the children? Allegedly, the mom was lying to them about where the children were. Like, oh, they're with the babysitter. And y'all, be nosy. Not enough people are nosy. If something doesn't seem right, if something doesn't feel right, you need to check up on it, okay? If you see something, say something. But let me go ahead and read this, all right? Michigan mother accused of abandoning 3 children in squalor is charged with child abuse. Hi, Riley Crow. Yep, that's really crazy. The Pontiac, Michigan woman who is accused of abandoning her 3 children to live in squalor for years was charged Wednesday with felony child abuse. Court records show Kelly Bryant, 34, was charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse, though prosecutors initially declined to identify. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald disclosed Bryant's name in announcing the charges Wednesday. Let me read that again. Though prosecutors initially declined to identify, Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald disclosed Bryant's name in announcing the charges on Wednesday. Yeah, don't protect this woman. I know that the children are minors and you want to protect their identities, but this woman needs to be put on blast. McDonald told reporters that her office would also represent the Department of Health and Human Services in terminating Brian's parental rights. That's right. This woman does not deserve to be a parent. She was she's a disgusting human being. I don't know what mental health issues. Clearly, she has mental health issues. This is not normal behavior. This is not normal behavior of mothers. Normal mothers, healthy mothers are nurturing, healthy. Everyone goes through depression. Everyone has a hard time. But a loving mother, a smart mother would say, you know what? I don't have the energy to take care of them. I don't have the resources. I'm going to give them up for adoption or give them up to whatever. She could have dropped them off at the fire station. There were options. Okay. Anyway, let me continue reading. We are simultaneously prosecuting the criminal case against mom and neglecting, I mean, we are simultaneously prosecuting the criminal case against mom and neglect proceeding pertaining to the kids. McDonald said, we will be asking our clients, the Department of Health and Human Services, to file a petition to terminate her rights. Court records do not list an attorney for Bryant, who was in the county jail Wednesday. Bryant was arrested last week after a landlord contacted the Oakland County Sheriff's Office to conduct a welfare check. The landlord expressed concern for three children living in the home after the mother stopped paying rent in October, the sheriff's news release said. Y'all, let me show you a photo of the nastiness and look at the feces on the door, on the um on the door. Look at this. I don't know if you guys can see it. Look at that. That's feces. So the children were using the bathroom. The toilet wasn't really flushing, or they didn't know how to flush. And whatever the situation was, they were just using the bathroom. They were even pooping in the tub, y'all. The children were pooping in the bathtub. I'm a little confused about the situation because the children were abandoned not as infants. They were abandoned, maybe 8, 9, 10, something like that. Somebody knew how to use the bathroom. So I'm really surprised that the children were basically living like animals. The mom, is her fault, but they were pooping they were pooping in the bathtub. I guess the toilet wasn't working, but I don't know, y'all. It's really weird how the mother did not even try to make them live decent. It's disgusting. It says trash and human waste in a home in Pontiac, Michigan, where three teenagers were left to live on their own. So that's the photo. Deputies found a boy and two girls living among trash, human waste, and mold. The release said authorities have not identified the children ages 15, 13, and 12. So basically, the oldest was only 10 years old when he was abandoned. One was 8, and the other was 7. So basically, the children were 7, 8, and 10 when they were abandoned. I have an 8-year-old child, y'all. I have an 8-year-old son, and I cannot imagine leaving my son to fend for himself for years and just dropping off food. Yes, my child know how to use a toilet, but if I'm not leaving toilet paper for him, if the toilet doesn't work, really what do you expect children to do? The children were in survival mode, so they did what they knew best, and all blame goes to the mother. She's a disgusting human being. And this is an outrageous story. And I hope they said that she's facing life in prison, y'all. I will continue reading. So, Sheriff Michael Bocard described the living conditions as abuse of the highest order. This situation would be deemed deplorable and intolerable for an animal. And it is utterly unacceptable for three children, he said in a statement. The boy told deputies that their mother had abandoned them around 2020 or 2021, that they had been living off of food drop-offs that were left for them, the sheriff's office said. Y'all, I read somewhere else that the boy said at times they didn't have enough food. At times she wouldn't drop off food. So they basically were just surviving off of whatever they had. The office said they hadn't received hygiene products from their mother since 2020. McDonald, the prosecutor, said Wednesday that the deputies had to repeatedly assure the children they were there to help them. All three were covered. All three were covered in feces. And the girls had trouble walking out of the apartment, he said. So, what I read in another article is that the children had trouble walking because their toenails were so long. Their toenails hadn't been clipped. Hi, FNS. I'm talking about the Michigan so-called mother, a Michigan human female that had three children, and she left them in a house by themselves, and she would drop off food like once a week. She didn't give them any hygiene products, and they had a broken toilet, feces everywhere. Deplorable. Deplorable. The worst case of hoarders. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna finish reading. They were taken to a hospital where they showed signs of severe neglect and failed basic hygiene tests, such as brushing their teeth. That is a dentist nightmare. Can you imagine when they finally go to the dentist? When they finally were brushing, that how much blood was coming out. You guys know when you floss your teeth, if you're not flossing consistently, your teeth, your gums will bleed, right? But if you're flossing on a regular basis and there's no issues, your gums normally don't bleed, right? But if there's an issue, if you're not flossing, there's a lot of plaque and tartar, all that buildup. So imagine when the kids were flossing and brushing. I'm sure there was a lot of blood. Ah, I can only imagine the cavities and the problems they are having right now. All right. The children said in interviews that they had virtually no contact with their mother who with their mother or the outside world in years. They're gonna have to make a movie about this. They're gonna have to make a movie about this. I'm sure Netflix is gonna do a special. Somebody, McDonald said. The children had also not been attending school, authorities said. The girls had not left the residence in several years, and her son had only left the home to go into the yard approximately 2 times, she said, never venturing away from the house more than to check the mailbox. The children expressed fear over disobeying their mother, McDonald said. She alleged that Bryant took active steps of lying and concealing to make sure the children went undiscovered. Asked why Bryant would leave her children in such conditions. Hold on, y'all. Asked why Bryant would leave her children in such conditions, McDonald said that prosecutors cannot get into the mind of someone else, and that sometimes there isn't a reason. The Pontiac School District confirms that the children were no longer enrolled in the district and last attended school there in 2021. We did not receive records requests. I'm sorry, we did receive records requests for purposes of enrollment for two of the children from two different schools, which we provided at that time, it said in a statement. Enrollment and withdrawal procedures have changed significantly since the children were there, the district said. It added that the situation has motivated us to take an even deeper look at how we can tighten up our systems even more. Yeah, I think the school district has a little blame there because I thought that when you miss a certain amount of days of school and you're not being officially homeschooled, if you weren't, if you don't put a homeschool request in and you're not attending school, I thought you had a truancy situation. Truancy is when you miss too many days and they have to have like a counseling with you, and you could potentially get in trouble as a parent if you're not putting your children in school. So I'm a little bit unsure. So y'all, I want to talk about the mother's mental health. Obviously, this woman was not a healthy person. Healthy, loving, normal mothers do not neglect their children. Loving, healthy moms do not provide the very bare minimum, right? So I'm going to assume, that mom had already underlying health issues, mental health issues, and clearly she was overwhelmed as a mother. She, in court proceedings, were saying she's overwhelmed, she can't handle, blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering if the pandemic triggered something in her, you know, just the isolation and quarantine and all that stuff. I'm not excusing the mom's behavior. What she did was absolutely wrong, but I'm wondering, did the isolation trigger some stuff? Because a lot of people went through a lot of things during the pandemic. People were getting divorced, spending too much time together and just isolated, and it did some things to people, and I'm wondering that's what happened. But anyway, there's no excuse. It doesn't matter what the mom was going through. She had options. She could have called a family member and say, girl, I can't take it. Take these kids from me before I do something bad. Take these kids before I hurt them. She could have dropped them off. She could have dropped them off the fire station. She could have called Child Protective Services and said, hey, I'm not able to help my children right now. I need help and support. Any parent out there, you're struggling, there's options. You can't just neglect your children like that. And she really thought she was doing something by dropping off food once a week. She probably was like, well, at least I'm not starving them to death. At least I'm not starving them to death. How do you do that? I'm really glad the children were finally rescued. Shout out to that landlord and shout out to the community who are like, the outpouring of support they're giving these children. I love it. These children will need a lifetime of mental health services. No contact with each other other than with each other, no motherly support, no fatherly support, no, not playing with other children, not bathing, not grooming, not socializing. That takes a toll on your mental health. And then also living in filth. Can you imagine what that home smelled like? From another video or article, I think Grizzly True Crime, maybe. I think Grizzly True Crime. I was watching the video that she made. I'm not done watching the video, but I think they said that the authorities had to go into the home, y'all, with a hazmat suit on. Do you hear me? A hazmat suit. So basically, it was just like a biohazard stuff going on in there. Like I said, feces was everywhere. They probably had rodents. They probably had bugs. They probably had infections and stuff from not wiping their butts properly, from not washing, no soap. It's a whole bunch of stuff going on with those children. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I think I did. That the mother is actually facing 1 year of, no, not 1 year. The mother is facing potentially life in prison. Michigan does not have the death penalty, and I don't know if this is a crime that would warrant a death penalty anyway, but Michigan does not have the death penalty. So the most they can punish her for is life in prison. And I hope without the possibility of parole. And once they terminate her rights, I hope that she is not allowed to have any contact with them by email, by phone, by video. And they should not be, she should not be allowed to have them come visit her. And, you know, other than the father who was in prison, there was one father who was involved. Altogether, the woman had 4 children. One child left to live with their father in like 2022. So one child was spared the fate of all the children, even though there was a neglect there for that one child. So one of the children out of the 4 was living with one of their dads. The other 3, one of them had a father in prison, or maybe 1 or 2 of them. I don't know how many fathers, right? And he tried to get custody once he was released. So I'm gonna give him some credit. He was incarcerated. But with anybody else, if there were any other fathers who weren't involved, like, yeah. How are you going years without seeing your children and not thinking something's weird about it? But again, all blame goes to the mother because as a mother, what's that saying? Uh, daddy maybe, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. So even if you don't expect the man to step up, as a mom, a lot of the burden falls on you. I know it's hard being a mom, especially a single mother, but like I said before, she had options and she chose the worst option. She chose to leave them in the home, pay rent while she was living somewhere else, living it up like she didn't have no children and dropping food off once a week. She basically was just treating them like animals. And like the article was saying, like animals there's cats and dogs living in lavish, living way better than these children were living. I feel so sorry for them. But I'm really curious to see. I'm really curious to see what this woman's gonna say of why she did what she did. I'm really curious of what her wax excuse gonna be. She's gonna bet you this mom is gonna try to claim, insanity. Like I didn't have any support, and I mean, she can't claim postpartum depression because you're the oldest child was 7 years old when you left them. I mean, the youngest child was seven, so 7, 8, and 10. Um, and oh, I read another article. All three of them had their own phones. I am really surprised, you all, that the children didn't say, you know what, I can't live like this anymore. I'm gonna call 911. But apparently and allegedly, the mom put fear into them, like, don't go outside, don't answer the door. And I think the children had, I think one of the oldest son had called her when the authorities came to the door to do the wellness check. And he was like, the police are here. And she was like, go hide or don't answer, act like you're not home. And the police had to convince him that they were safe, like, hey, we're here to help you. And the girls were hiding in the bathroom. And it reminds me of the House of Horror with Ariel Castro when he had the three girls that he was sexually abusing and kept them as prisoners. When they finally were rescued, when Amanda Berry was able to escape and the people came to help them, the other girls, Gina and what's her last name? The other name, the other girl, last name is Knight. They were afraid. They were like, "Oh my gosh, are you gonna rescue us?" And when they finally realized that the police were safe, it wasn't the abuser anymore. They ran and they were like, "Thank you, you saved us. You're saving us." Yeah, I can imagine living in an apartment or a house or a condo, wherever, for 4 years and just in there. I would have went crazy. Can you imagine like the mental health issues the children are gonna be facing? Like I said, they're going to need like years and years of mental health services because we know like even people in prison who are in solitary confinement, what that does to you. So imagine being stuck in a house with feces, with nastiness and no safety and no security. That does something to you, you know. They are, I'm sure they had a lot of regressing because they were supposed to be growing, advancing, learning. And when she did that to them, they probably just like went into like a infancy stage. All they knew how to do was watch videos, watch TV and stuff on their phones. Like not going to school or anything, y'all. I'm not gonna ramble on all night, but such a sad story. I couldn't believe when I heard that. I mean, I've heard some crazy stories about mothers who went out of town for 2 weeks and let the kids. I've heard of that, which is bad. And that one woman who left her like 2-year old at home while she was on vacation and left the daughter with like 2 bottles of milk in the playpen and like a couple crackers, and the girl was eating her feces to survive, and she ended up dying. The mother was on vacation for 10 days and left her daughter alone. I think she was like 18 months old or something like that. Anyway, y'all, let me stop playing with my hair. But you guys are not really commenting, but I appreciate anyone who was in the live stream. Thank you so much to Martin Johnson. Thank you to Riley Crow. And thank you to Epiness. I'm going to stay on for like maybe a minute and a half. But I'm going to finish watching Grizzly True Crimes video about this story to see what other details and videos and information that she has. But it's pretty much they just got to wait for her next, court appearance. And they're in the process of terminating her rights as a mother. And it's almost like that's what she wanted. Like, girl, you didn't want to be a mother. You didn't want to be a mother. Why didn't you just give up your rights alone? Like, some people are just so, I don't know, in denial. You know what I'm saying? She didn't want to be honest with the situation. Like, I can't handle motherhood. I don't know what I'm doing. Instead of saying, I need help, she decided to do the worst thing she could do to her children. Like, motherhood is hard. Trust me. I know motherhood is hard. You get frustrated, you get overwhelmed, but at no point should you neglect your children to the point where they're living in complete filth. They're not going to school, they're not learning, they're not even outside. I mean, she kept lying to friends and family about, oh, they're the babysitter, they were getting babysitted. I'm telling you, there's not enough nosy people on earth. Like when children are involved, you need to be nosy. Like you should be like, hey, where's Susie and Daryl and where's where's Bobby? You know, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You know, people love to say, oh, I'm not the mom, or that's the mom, that's the dad, that's the parent. Ain't my kids, ain't my problem. Like, it's just not enough nosy people on earth, y'all. It's just not enough nosy people. And if and like I said before, shout out to the landlord. If it wasn't for the landlord, who knows how long. But first of all, sh- thankfully she stopped paying rent, because her not paying rent triggered the landlord to be like, I'm not getting no money, I'm not hearing from her, let's do a welfare check. So she must have ran out of money, was like, I can't do it no more. She was just like, I'm not gonna pay no rent, whatever happens happens. She was willing to allow her children to be homeless because she's a selfish mother. You know, everyone has issues, mental health is very important, but you cannot let your children suffer because you don't know how to ask for help. It's just not right. Um, so I really hope the children recover as best as possible, and I hope that they receive the best counseling, the best therapy, and they're gonna need it for many, 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 many years. Severe neglect like that does something to your mental health. It really affects you, and these children, they probably still have some type of love for the mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, she still was feeding me. Like, she really was making them feel like what she was doing was a good deed. Stockholm syndrome. They probably was trying to really protect the mom, and I'm sure they knew something wasn't right, but that's all they knew, for years. And then with the whole pandemic thing, like I said, a lot of people lost touch. A lot of people weren't just really seeing each other. A lot of people were like isolated and not going any places. So she found the perfect time to be just the worst mother. And there's no perfect time to be the worst mother. What I'm saying is, she took advantage of the pandemic. Like, oh well, the kids weren't going to school anymore. Everybody was doing online, and so I'm sure she's gonna try to use the pandemic as an excuse. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna come off. I'm rambling. I'm pretty much talking to myself. Pretty much. Thank you to those of you who came to the live stream. Let me end my poll. So I asked, have you heard about the Michigan kids left to live alone? None of you knew about it. I'm going to end the poll. So I'm going to come off and I'm going to have a good night. I'm going to, I got to do my grocery. I was trying to order groceries online. I need to do grocery delivery. It's 10:25. I'm going to either do grocery delivery or do grocery pickup. We need groceries. Today was takeout night. My son got Donato's pizza, a large pizza to himself, and my daughter and I, we both got a burrito. So that was dinner tonight. It's one of those days, there's nothing wrong with having takeout once in a while, but can't make it a habit. So yeah, we are going to order groceries for delivery or pickup tomorrow. I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do. It's been so cold over here, y'all, in Ohio. It's been so cold. It's been like in the teens or early 20s, and I cannot wait until spring. I'm so sick of the cold. I've been hating the cold more and more every day. Like, I cannot wait to leave the state. I cannot wait. I hope to be able to see the day that I get to exit Ohio permanently and be in warmer temperatures in a better area and free from the narcissist, y'all. Freedom at last. Freedom at last. I cannot wait to be free. Yeah. But before I can be free, I just have to make sure I'm, trying to find the small joys in life and still remain happy and not let nobody bring me down. So even though I'm forced to be in this state currently, due to custody stuff, I cannot wait to be free, y'all. I just want to be I want to be near the beach. I don't know where I'm going to live, y'all, but I want to be near the beach. I'm a beach girl. I'm a summer baby, so I've always been drawn to water. Water is so peaceful, and I just want to live near the water, like not too far from the water. I don't want to live on the water, you know what I'm saying? But I want to live like close, within an hour or two, something like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to live too far from the beach. The beach has been calling me for years, and I want to finally answer the beach's call. Life's a beach. Anyway, I'm so corny right now. All right, y'all. Again, thank you so much for coming onto this live stream. I'm tired. Can you tell? I'm on my exercise ball. I don't do it enough, and I need to exercise tomorrow. It's not an exercise ball. It's called a fitness ball. Do they call it exercise ball? I think it's called a fitness ball. Just trying to like keep my hips, active. But yeah, I'm gonna do some Grow with Joe tomorrow. I'll try to do some in the morning, but I doubt it. Probably gonna be the afternoon. But I'm committing to be fit. The weather and the weather has been not putting me in the mood for one to work out. But you got to work out every day, regardless, y'all. You have to stay active, especially the older we get. You have to stay active, limber, stretching, working out. But I have just not been in the mood. But you got to put yourself in the mood. Even if you don't want to be in the mood to exercise, like after you exercise, you feel good. Every time I exercise, I'm like, girl, that felt so good. What was taking you so long? But yeah, I'm going to get into some Grow with Joe tomorrow. And then I'm going to do some yoga with Bird. And I'm going to try to do some stretching tonight. Do a little bit of yoga tonight before I go to bed. Because I have been feeling really stiff lately, y'all. Really, really stiff. And today, I stood up and my leg was like cramped up and I was so embarrassed. I felt so old. And somebody that was around me, they was like, oh, you just getting old? It's that old age? I was like, leave me alone. But I hate when like certain things happen and remind me that, yes, I am not young anymore. I am getting older. I am getting older, but wiser, darling, and more beautiful. But we gotta embrace old age, y'all. We gotta embrace getting old because some people are not here. Some people, are no longer with us. So don't be ashamed of your age. Don't be ashamed or afraid to get old. It's a privilege to age, all right? It means you're still here. Getting older means you've been living, you've been surviving, and you're trying to thrive. So no matter what your age is, just be happy to be alive, y'all. Try to make the best of it while you're here. All right, I'm gonna come off for real this time. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See ya.